210 straight days of Clippers talk for you guys. Welcome in. I'm Adam Osland. As we get set for a winner-take-all Game 7 tomorrow in Denver. Pre-game at 3:30, tip-off at 4:30. We'll have it for you on the Patriot AM 1150. Of course, pre-game and post-game you can find right here at Clippers Talk on the YouTube side. Think we got you covered. Think we've had you covered. Again, for 210 straight days. I know there's a game being played right now. I know some of you are probably pretty immersed with what's happening up in San Francisco. I may have it on in the background, may have an eye on it, but it's all about the Clippers, baby. As we get set for what could be one of the most dramatic series-ending ball games we have seen, as it's been a crazy series. Came into it and said this could be like the Spurs and Clippers in 2015. It has delivered. It has not let us down. Jimmy Williams is in here. Let's effing go. Hip to Clip is in here. Bonesaw is in here. And he is asking us to play the hits.
Getting strong now. Getting strong now.
We got the soundboard here for you guys. What do you need? Do you need to hear this?
We are divine opportunists.
We are divine opportunists. We'll see if Clayon calls in. If you guys want to get on and give your thoughts on tomorrow night's game, 877-520-1150 is the phone number. Some people may be too nervous to call in right now. Everyone's on edge, pins and needles. But remember, this team is hungry.
Yo, man, we so hungry, we can feel it. We out here. So, when you hungry as hell, you eat a good meal, we want to get to sucking their fingers and shit, looking for crumbs. That's what we've been so long, dog. Now we actually eating some prime ribs. We are eating a good meal. We are eating Wagyu steak, and we recognizing, damn, this is how it is to be at the top.
Not quite at the top. With ownership, yes. With potential, sure. But they'll be up top 5,280 feet up against that mile-high thin air tomorrow night in Game 7 against the Denver Nuggets. I want to hear from Coach Lue after what was a stellar performance in Game 6 by your LA Clippers. I was proud of the way they played in that ball game. I was proud of the way Coach Lue pulled the levers and pushed the right buttons when he needed to. Was I asking for Nico Batum earlier in the series to play more? Yes. Were many of us? Yes. Well, he finally unleashed him. That was good to see. Here was Coach Lue post-game.
To what was asked of him.
Wait a second. Can I get some better sound here? Can I?
I'm here on your right.
There we go.
Can you take us through your decision-making as far as Nico was concerned today and how you think he responded to what was asked of him?
Was that Lauren Rosen?
I thought he responded well. I thought, like I said, KD defensively to start and then try to get to that small lineup with all shooting on the floor, which helped us get the lead, gave James and Kawhi more spacing, and I was able to attack when we went small. And so, I told the guys after the game, KD and, being still up cheering, I talked to those guys, and it's about being a team and whatever it takes to win. And those guys totally understood it, even though they've been great for us all year long, and so just wanted to say thank you to them. But, our guys came out and played well tonight. I thought to start the game, attention to detail was really good. And then when we went small with that shooting lineup, I thought we was able to break the game open a little bit.
Yeah.
The small ball lineup was very good. Coach Lue cooked there. They actually went plus 10 in the second quarter to start. And Some of those minutes were against Nikola Jokic while they were still small out there. They went +4 during that time. We're talking about Kawhi, Nico, Bogey, DJ. Who else am I thinking of there? Kawhi, Nico, Bogey, DJ. It was Norm at times, but I think he came in for DJ. Who else am I thinking of? Son of a bitch, Adam. You're better than this. Kawhi. Oh, Harden. Harden started the second quarter. He came out late in the first quarter. Kawhi came in for him. Harden started the second quarter. So you had a lineup with, and I think I have the numbers on how they did here. Nico, Harden, Kawhi, Bogey, DJ went +4 in 6 minutes. Then you put in Norm for DJ. They went +7 in 4 minutes. All in all, by the time Ivica Zubac came back into the ball game in that second quarter, the Clippers had gone +10, and they were down 3 entering the second to up 7 by the time Big Zoo came back in. And they went +4 in the small ball minutes against Jokic during that time. Huge turn of events. Same with what happened in the third quarter. When Denver turned it over at around the 7-minute mark 5 times in 6 possessions, and the Clippers went on a 12-0 run. That wasn't small ball, but transition basketball, Clippers making them pay whenever they made mistakes. They had 14 turnovers, leading to 23 points off of turnovers for your Los Angeles Clippers. More from Coach Lou.
Backs against the wall, obviously, but when you look at the performances you got from your top scorers, at least traditionally, what did you make of James, Kawhi, and Norm?
Yeah, I thought James did a great job setting the tone early, scoring the basketball, getting downhill, making the right play. Norm made some big shots at the end, and Kawhi was just kind of steady throughout the game. But I thought those 3 guys really stepped up, came to play. I thought Zoo was a monster on the defensive end tonight, getting closer to Joker, not giving him as much space. And man, Joker just it's just hard. You know, if you double team him, he's gonna pick you apart with his passing. If you stay at home, he's gonna score. You know, and so I give our guys credit just staying with it. You know, don't get deflated. And you know, we did a good job just keeping our head.
Ty, when you talked about checking their temperature and it was great, what was it about those conversations that basically assured you and assured them that you guys could win this game?
That they were positive. You know, they were positive and understood that, you know, the series could have been 3-2 our way easily, you know, and so just staying the course. You know, they're a really good team. You know, they have, 5 starters, 4 of the starters returning, been there for like 4 or 5 years. They won a championship and they know how to play. And so, coming out at, game 5 at their place, they were really aggressive. I thought Joker really led the charge with Jamal Murray, stepped up and having 43. But I thought early on Joker was aggressive. Then that opened everything up with Jamal Murray. And so we just got to stay the course. Game 7 is going to be tough, but we're ready for the challenge.
Let's go.
Ty, this is kind of a 2-part question. Is there a reason why you didn't start Batum, or like you kind of wanted to save that for the second half? Is that
Good question, Ramona Shelburne?
it was part 1, and then part 2 is when you go to that small lineup, what do you have to do defensively to keep Jamal in check, right? Or to keep their, if you take defense, if you trade defense for offense, you obviously have to still play some defense out there.
It's more about if they can keep Jokic in check when going small, but I get it.
Because I wanted to get to the small lineup against their second unit with, like I said, with shooting. We had Norm, Bogey, Nico, Kawhi, and James. DJ was in there for a stretch, but then we brought Norm in. And I thought we was able to push the pace. I thought we was able to get open shots, get to the paint, kind of spread them out a little bit so they couldn't just load up and try to take away driving lanes. And so that was the reasoning. But then, in the second half, like I said, just going to that and seeing how good it was, just to kind of space the floor, was really huge for us. And so just, I wanted to get to that small lineup against their second unit in that second quarter. That was the main reason why.
You like the floor spacing? Yes, they went to it again in the fourth quarter. It was good. I thought he went to it maybe a possession or two too long in the fourth quarter before getting Ivica Zubac back into the ball game after he played the entire third quarter. But I mean, they went up by 14. They went up by 15 eventually at 105-90. And then after Jokic had, I think it was back-to-back buckets on them. Let me see. When did Ivica Zubac come back in? Yeah. At the 4:12 mark. So it was a 9-point game. When Jokic came back in the fourth quarter, they started the fourth quarter up 11. When Jokic came back in, they were still up 11. They upped the lead to as many as 15, but by the time Zubac got back into the ball game, it was down to 9 at 105-96. But we've talked about what Nico Batum can do for this team. He is a positive floor spacer. At times, Chris Dunn is obviously a negative one because they don't respect his shooting. And he's a versatile defender that can guard Jamal Murray and Nikola Jokic. So if they get him in a switch and he goes on to either guy, you're fine. That's the beauty of it.
Ty, that decision to go to Nico to start the second half, is that something that you guys had pre-planned and discussed going in, or is this at halftime you're like, this is the change that needs to be made? I can't even talk. Be made.
Justin Russo.
My brain is overloaded, man. It's a long night.
Yeah, I was just going over, the last 24 hours of just different rotations to try to exploit what they were doing, and so I thought KD would get us all to a great, defensive start to start the game, and then I can get to that small lineup that I wanted to get to against DeAndre Jordan on the floor and give us spacing, and it worked, and so in the second half, I thought having a space in the way James and Kawhi were able to attack, I thought really opened up the floor. And so we just did it to start the second half because Nico was really playing great.
And then with James, you played him the last 36 minutes of this game. What do you think that lineup was able to do for him specifically? Because you did get going that second quarter.
Yeah, I thought it was great. I thought we did a good job of just, in transition, Zoo diving to the basket, letting James go one-on-one and create to keep him out of the blitz. I thought he did a good job attacking one-on-one. Our spacing was really good tonight, and he was able to get to the paint, get to the basket, and so just talked about just opening it up for him and allow him to play, one-on-one and get to his spots.
Nico just makes everyone's job easier on the offensive end, on the defensive end. There's really no downside, which is why it's a little bit baffling that I thought he was going to play 30-plus minutes in Game 5. I thought that was going to be the time when they started to lean on him more. Better late than never. Once they lose tomorrow, that's going to feel like they probably should have gone to Nico earlier in the series for heavier minutes. I don't know.
Ty, your point guard is in his 16th season. You've all seen the load that he's had to carry. Like, how impressed are you that he's able to play that many minutes? I think it's his third time in this series. I think he played 40 minutes 5 times in the regular season. Like, how impressed are you that he's able to not just be on the floor, but to be in this kind of position to lead your team?
Yeah, very impressed. Like I said, he wants to play every night. He's in great shape, trained for these moments. He wants to play, and so I knew, with the lineup that I wanted to get out there in the second quarter, he would get a quick breather. Kawhi came back in for him, and then we brought James back to start the second quarter to really give us some offensive firepower, and it worked, and so he got worn down, got a little tired. I took a couple timeouts to try to, to save him. But like I said, he wanted to play, he wanted to compete, and like I said, he brought us home tonight.
Really, it was close to a damn near flawless game, in my opinion, with rotations, minutes, lineups from Coach Lue yesterday. It was masterful. He deserves a ton of credit.
Ty, you've been in Game 7s before. What are those games like? What does it take? And what do you expect you guys need to do to win a Game 7?
They're nasty is what they're like.
Come out with a defensive mindset and then in attack mode on both sides. Like, we know each other's plays. We know what we're trying to do. We know how we're trying to exploit mismatches. And we just got to go for it, lay everything out on the line. And these are what you live for, growing up as a kid, being in the playoffs, Game 7s. And so we got to come, ready to go, especially with a defensive mindset, but offensively being aggressive, attacking the paint, attacking the basket, and go from there.
I thought one of the key things in Game 6 was the Clippers started 1 of 12 from 3. They didn't let that define them, meaning they didn't just give in to, oh, it's not our night from downtown, blame it on shot variance. No, everything else was at the rim. They were getting to the rim. And eventually the shots started to come around for them in the second half from 3. They still only shot 30% in that ball game, but they took a large amount of 3-pointers, and typically that means they're getting good looks. If the Clippers are taking 39 3-point shots, it's not because they're settling, it's because it's within the flow of the offense. So the guys were missing some really easy looks early on. They started making some late, DJ, Norm, but I really like the intent of getting to the basket and making sure that, okay, because we're not getting these threes, we better get some real high percentage looks on everything else. Kawhi, yes, you can get the mid-range as a high percentage look for you, but everybody else, please get in the paint. Get it going. Really appreciate that. And then going back to the Nico conversation, so he played with the rest of the starters in place of Dunn for 16 minutes in that game. It was their most used lineup. They went +2 in those 16 minutes. That may not seem like a lot, but those 16 minutes, a lot of that time was against Nikola Jokic and Jamal Murray. Anytime you can win your minutes against them, that is a big deal. The usual starting lineup with Dunn played just 7 minutes in Game 6. They only went -1. You guys might be thinking, oh, they got crushed, and that's why you took Dunn out. No. Like, they won the first 5 minutes of the game. They were up 10-9, but Dunn was missing a couple of 3-pointers, and Aaron Gordon was bullying him on the block. And I think that's when Coach Lue said, all right, we need more size in there. But it wasn't miserable, and Dunn has not been close to miserable in this series. And probably get some minutes still tomorrow. We'll see. It's just, even with Ben Simmons, he's out of the rotation now, but he did his job earlier in the series, I should say. He won a lot of his shifts. They did good with that small ball with him. But as the series goes along, you start to tighten things up, play your starters more, rotations are shortened. That's okay. And Coach Lue said, the first thing he said, you heard it post-game, was how impressed he was with those guys and their level of professionalism. Dunn, Ben Simmons likely being disappointed. Ben Simmons not playing at all. Dunn only playing 10 minutes in Game 6, but cheering on their guys. They know we win as a team. That's what it has to be.
You talk to them again about Game 7? You just talk about just try to win another game.
Just talk about things we got to get better at. Our spacing a couple times, how they're trying to play James. Our pace, just like keeping that pace of just trying to play in transition, play before they get their defense set. And I thought we did a better job of that tonight, but we can go to another level.
I like that. You don't even need to worry as much and contextualize it as it's a Game 7. Did you talk to them about the importance of a Game 7? If you talk after every game about how you need to get better, it doesn't apply as much pressure, and it's just a process thing. Cool, we won this game. What do we do wrong? What do we do right? How do we do more of the stuff we did well at a higher level and take it to another level? And how do we correct the mistakes with the stuff we were doing wrong? If you look at it from that way, it doesn't, apply the stakes that could rattle some guys.
Ty, back to your temperature checks. What was the temperature check like with James as he's trying to figure out how to manage the ups and downs of this?
Yeah, it was great. We had great conversations, just how to open them up, open the floor up, and just, talking through some stuff and bouncing ideas off each other. And, it was good, and so being one of the best ISO guys we've seen, probably in NBA history, we just talked about giving him more space, giving him more ISOs and one-on-ones. We know they're blitzing him, every time with the 5-man. So just, try to go guard, pick and rolls and try to attack from there. And he did a great job, especially starting the game.
They did do more guard, small pick and rolls. So instead of bringing Ivica Zubac up to set the screen for James Harden, where therefore it's likely going to be Christian Brown and Nikola Jokic hedging the screen or trapping him or blitzing him and getting the ball out of his hands. If you bring up a smaller guy, like let's say Jamal Murray, who was either guarding Batum or Dunn or Kawhi at times, get Harden onto him instead after you set the screen. Smart. They need more of that tomorrow.
Ty, you didn't happen to leave any money at the Ball Arena, did you?
No, I didn't.
This is a funny question from Tomer. The old Doc Rivers leave money in the ceiling and say, we're coming back here for game 7.
And, it was good, and so being one of the best ISO guys we've seen, like, probably in NBA history, we just talked about
Yeah,
giving
I
him
heard
more
this
space,
part.
giving him more band starting the game.
Here's Tomer.
Ty, you didn't happen to leave any money at the Ball Arena, did you?
No, I didn't.
When you look at Nico's impact, though, I know we've talked about just his high IQ, but just the ability to get some of those, a weak side block after it looked like Nikola had him beat, just plays like those. Like, how does his just ability to do those kind of things just allow you to do so many different things because he's able to do those?
I mean, just look what he did defensively. Second half, he guarded Jamal Murray, guarded, Jokic in the first half when we went small. He can guard 1 through 5, and just the intensity he brings defensively every night. And then, like you said, being able to block some shots around the rim, chip outs on the glass, and then be able to make a shot, but just understanding how to play the game, understanding spacing. And like I said, he's huge for us.
Nico had
Coach.
3 blocks last night. 3 blocks from Nico.
Going back to Zoo, he's talking about he was a monster on defense tonight. I think that his discipline on Jokic is a big part of that. Him not fouling, him closing out, and showing his hands essentially. But what can you talk about what that does for the other 4 guys on the court to allow Zoo to be solid, not foul, but be disciplined when he's going against Jokic?
I mean, it's huge, and nobody can guard him 1-on-1, but if we have Zoo on him, we want him to bang and try to wear him down as much as possible. But I thought he did a really good job just, around the basket, guarding him 1-on-1, staying big, jumping after Joker jumps so you won't get fouls, and was very disciplined tonight. And I thought even, when Joker was on the perimeter, just being closer, like not giving up threes, being closer. And this whole series for us has been about being closer to our guys. And so I thought tonight we took a step in the right direction.
Zoo's defense in the second half, some of the best defense he's ever played in his career. Period. Quentin Cornette is in here. He was on Clips and Dip earlier. Hey, Adam, when I mentioned our depth, I just meant using Ben Simmons 6 fouls on Joker. That's not good enough in a must-win game, Quentin. No one is relying on depth to that extent at this point. Rotations are shortened. Like, just saying, oh, you could use 6 fouls on Joker. That would only be in an emergency situation if somebody else is already fouled out. Like, you're no. You see, he said keep Nico on Gordon and DJ on Murray. Kawhi is likely going to be out there with Nico Batum. Ben Simmons, if he's playing minutes in a game 7, that's probably a bad sign. This isn't any disrespect. You are shortening rotations as the series goes along. This whole idea of, Zoo's going to play 40 minutes tomorrow, unless he's in foul trouble. Batum might play 40 minutes. Where exactly? Kawhi's going to play 40 minutes. Where's Ben Simmons going to play? I think you got to ask backwards. If you're thinking Ben Simmons is the solution in a game 7 against Jokic, that's not a sense of urgency. The only way Ben Simmons plays is if somebody else is in foul trouble.
Yeah.
There was Coach Lou. And I like what Ben Simmons did for them earlier in the series. But as it goes along, because everything's magnified more, and the games become more important, you're going to shorten rotations. Here was Kawhi Leonard last night. And yes, I know Ty Lue put money in the ceiling before back in 2016. Where do you think he learned that from? It was from Doc Rivers, who did it back in 2010 with Boston against the Lakers.
You've been with Nico for a long time, but just what can you say about the impact that he
When Zubac goes to the bench, Quentin, Batum is out there. Did you watch the last game? You'd rather have Batum out there with Kawhi for a few minutes on Jokic. First of all, they don't want to play non-Zubac minutes against Jokic. They're going to try to match Ivica Zubac. Can anybody else help him? I can't do this.
made tonight, this game starting in that second half?
Just having some spacing on the floor offensively, as well as defensively, just being active, guarding Jokic, showing the second hand on him, able to come over and get some good blocks on the weak side. That's what he did tonight.
You obviously have a lot of deep playoff experience. Is there anything you tell your teammates going into Game 7?
I wonder if I could find better audio here from Kawhi post game. This isn't the best. I don't know why, because Coach Lou sounded good there. Where's my good Kawhi audio? Hoop Chef? Hoop Jab? Anybody? Clippers official account? Could I get some good Kawhi post game sound? Please? Do I have to use that? Let me see. I thought I heard some better sound last night. Someone's got to help Quentin. First of all, he thought Ivica Zubac was just a dunker before. Called in and apologized for that. Now he's thinking that Ben Simmons needs minutes. Again, Ben Simmons is not going to help their spacing on offense. Did you watch the last game, Quentin? The reason they were able to spread out the Denver Nuggets is because they had a bunch of shooters in there. Here was Kawhi postgame.
On the floor.
Right.
Well, you've been with Nico for a long time, but just what can you say about the impact that he made in tonight's game starting in the second half?
Just having some spacing on the floor offensively, as well as defensively, just being active, guarding Jokic, showing the second hand on him, able to come over and get some good blocks on the weak side. That's what he did tonight.
And you obviously have a lot of deep playoff experience. Is there anything you tell your teammates going into Game 7 about just what that environment's going to be like on the road?
That we've been there before. We played there. This will be our fourth time. So just play like any other game. Just go out there and have fun. Let's stay locked in with each other and got to talk. And like I said before, they're a good team at home. So we got to be able to come out in that first quarter.
So Kawhi said, have fun, but stay locked in. We got to talk and come out fast in the first quarter.
Kawhi, Ty talked about calling all of you guys, checking your temperature. What do you think that meant to each individual, to the team, to have to do that?
What do you mean by calling?
You said that he called everybody to talk about the game over 36 hours, just to check you guys, make sure you guys are all staying positive and knowing that you could win this game.
Oh, yeah. He usually does that. It was nothing new. It was nothing new, like during the season. Winning streaks or losing streaks, he's calling us just to see what we feel with the lineup and getting insight of how we should play defensively with matchups or whatever really working for the player. He's pretty good at that.
Quentin, Harden played 47 minutes last game. He's probably going 45 plus at least next game. They don't need Ben Simmons to run the point. They don't need his defense when Zubac is going to try to match Nikola Jokic's minutes. If he's not, Batum's a better defender on him. Kawhi will get some time when they're going small. Ben Simmons kills spacing on the other end. I am desperately trying to help you understand the 8-man rotation the Clippers are going with. I think Rugby also pointed it out. Ben Simmons had his time earlier in this series. If he plays tomorrow, it's because somebody's in major foul trouble.
Kawhi, just the performance James had, knowing that he's probably looking forward to bouncing back. Like, what was the conversations like with him going into today, right before the game, and how did you feel like he was able to, managing it through in 45 some minutes?
I mean, he's been here before. Like I said before, guys have games when they don't play well during the season. So it's just another game. So I knew he was going to be able to come back or he was going to be aggressive and try to get to his spots. And, his skill showed that he was able to make shots tonight.
Kawhi, you said, this
Kawhi back it up James Harden, knowing that he would bounce back.
could be your fourth time that you guys have been going to Denver in this series. You guys have won there. Is that something you can draw on, that you guys have won there previously in this series and use that going into a game 7?
Yeah, I mean, I guess so. We can have the confidence to know that we have one, like you said. It's going to be a different game. Like I said, we got to come out aggressive in the first quarter and hold them, make sure they don't get a big lead on us.
Coach Ty talked about
Come out aggressive in the first quarter. Make sure they don't get a big lead on us. Accurate.
Zoo being a monster defensively tonight against Jokic. Can you talk about what it does for the other 4 players on the court when you have a big man like Zoo who doesn't back down from a guy like Yo?
It's great, you know what I mean? He's very competitive. That's what you want on your team. Guys that just want to compete, you know what I mean? Even if he has a skill to compete and to play great. But with me, I just want guys that, have that mindset of just wanting to get through a challenge or take on a challenge, win, lose, or draw.
Listen to this. Listen to the guys that Kawhi likes playing next to.
Get through a challenge or take on a challenge. But with me, I just want guys that, have that mindset of just wanting to get through a challenge or take on a challenge, win, lose, or draw. And Zoo does that.
That's what I'm
He wants guys that want to compete, take on a challenge. Zoo does that.
Everything you've been through the last few years, how much are you enjoying this series, this competition, this level of competition?
I'm enjoying every game. Like I said before, I've been on the sidelines the last couple of years in the playoffs, so I don't take it for granted. And I just try to cherish every moment and thank God that I'm able to play.
Thanks, what?
Rugby can't stop his obsession with Patty Mills. Dunn can't shoot. He hurts their spacing. I'd use Patty. Cool. Dunn is an infinitely better defender. Y'all let the Patty thing go. Please. It's getting so old, man.
Coach, I'm here.
And it's just nonsensical. Yeah, game 7, that's when Patty Mills going to be unleashed. Dear God. All right, we got some more post-game audio. Kawhi there at the end talking about he's just thankful he can play, thanking God that he can play. He's missed so much time in the postseason. Patty can guard Watson. We don't even know if Peyton Watson's going to play and how much. And no, stop it. Can we be serious, people? It is game 7. Patty Mills and Ben Simmons aren't playing, and if they are, it's probably a bad sign. We need to play our best players. Oh my God.
last couple of years in the playoffs, so I don't take it for granted, and I just try to cherish every moment and thank God that I'm able to play. Thanks, Bob.
Batum is starting. Batum is starting. If you come in here saying they lost because they didn't play Patty Mills, you're getting a timeout right away, Rugby. I don't care how devoted of a listener you are here on Clippers Talk. No one is here for that.
What got into you tonight? Because it seemed like the added spacing allows you to
Here's Norm Powell, post game last night.
get downhill more,
Yeah.
attack the rim.
Just putting emphasis on it. I mean, that's been the game plan all series. But just having every single time I touched the ball, just attacking the paint. Honestly, it was just focused on winning and executing the game plan to the best of my ability this game.
There was a lot of attention from the outside on James, and
Man, Norm attacked those closeouts so well, getting downhill to the basket.
considering he played a little bit subpar, considering his standard. What did you make of how he came out today and performed?
That was good. The pace was good, controlling the offense, getting out, attacking the switches and mismatches that we wanted him to attack. Not waiting so they can load up. But we need that same pace, that same aggression, that same focus and controlling the game, and making sure there's a balance of him attacking and being able to draw defense in and kick the ball out and find openings from the added attention of them trying to fire and blitz him and get the ball out of his hands.
Quentin can't let it go. Ben Simmons is one of our best defenders and worst players on offense, even with his passing, because they know he's never going to shoot it. And he can't shoot it. They won't even go for layups. Do you understand basketball in 2025, modern NBA? Ben Simmons gets in if somebody is in foul trouble. That's how it happens. I like what he did earlier in the series. It's game 7 now. You play your best guys heavier minutes in a game 7. Batum should be playing 40. I'm sorry, but Ben Simmons is only going to be needed if somebody gets into foul trouble. Patty Mills, a lot of guys would have to be getting into foul trouble. It is game 7. Can we be serious?
You guys lost 2 in a row, then won 2 in a row, and then lost 2 in a row heading into this one. Just what was the overall mood of the team, just the mentality heading into a game like this?
I thought everybody was even killed, not too high, not too low. Everybody was just focused on how we can be better. Chico came in and showed us the film of our own mistakes, not game plan mistakes, messing up on coverage and things like that. Just our own lack of focus in game 5. And then just our mentality on the defensive end, picking up pressure and not being back on our heels. That's been our identity all year long. We're a pressure team. We're a ball pressure team. We're a team that brings the physicality and the pace into the game.
I like what he's saying here. They are this type of squad defensively. They got back to basics on the defensive end, gained 23 points off of 14 turnovers by Denver. That's Clippers basketball.
As somebody who's grown up playing basketball as a kid and loves the game, how cool was it for you, or what was going through your head when you hit that final kind of clutch shot to seal the game at home on your own T-shirt night in the first, playoff? Like, that must have been a cool moment.
Honestly, I wasn't even thinking about all that. I was just focused on winning the game. I pride myself in the work that I put in. I pride myself in being ready for these big moments and coming through for my teammates when they need me most. I think if you look at my playoff career, I've been able to do that in big games, being called upon, role changing, starting in playoff series, coming off the bench, things like that. It's all prepared me for moments like this. In those times, I just focus on the game and trust my work and staying in the moment. Nothing outside, off the court, whatever's happening. All that matters is one possession at a time and what I have to do to make a play.
Quentin, I don't think you understand. The depth is so you don't overtax your players earlier in the series. So you can get to this point where you can play guys heavy minutes because it is a must-win game. You are playing your best players heavy minutes in a must-win game. Winner go home game. How? Quentin, can somebody help this man? First he thought Zoo was just a dunking merchant. Now he thinks you have to rely on your depth in a game 7? Said no one ever?
What can you guys draw from the first 3 games in Denver going into this game 7?
We can look at the first 2 and how we need to play and how we need to be, and how we need to compete, and then we can look at game 5 and know what we need not to do. And our mentality needs to be the same mentality that we had here. No setbacks, no drawbacks, no taking our foot off the gas. We have the blueprint. We know what we need to do, and it's going to take everybody stepping on that floor, being tight and communicating, and bringing that pressure and that grit and that attack mentality.
I know y'all been even killed, but did your teammates say something to you when you caught the 2 bodies or no?
No.
They didn't say nothing?
No, they were just screaming and yelling. Like I said, man, I'm just focused on making a play. That's what I do. People get caught up with my threes and everything like that, but I made my name dunking on people coming into the league.
Yeah, you
So
did, for sure. Okay.
Norm, we talked about the community aspect.
Ooh, Norm. A little spicy there. A little spicy. Made my name dunking on people coming into the league.
people get caught up with my threes and everything like that, but I made my name dunking on people coming into the league.
Yeah,
So
you did, for sure. Okay.
Why are the Boston Celtics the defending champs? Because they can play 5 out and all 5 guys are defenders. That's why. Because they put up 50 3-pointers a game and play the analytics perfectly. They do not utilize their depth in must-win games. No, they don't. Go look at their history of those situations. You're wrong again, Quentin.
Norm, we talked about the community aspect of Toronto and the way that Jurassic Park grew. And the other night on the plaza, they had over 1,000 fans. What do you make of the way that the community has been rallying around this building and having events like that now?
I mean, it's amazing. I love it. First coming here, you hear everybody talking bad about the Clippers and how we're the little sister team to the Lakers and everything like that. But having our own space, having a place where people can come and really get into the Clipper spirit and build that fan base and connect is huge. And I saw the Instagram posts and everything on social. The turnout's amazing. I'm definitely looking forward for a bigger turnout for Game 7. The fans have been amazing in our home games here in the playoffs. And just to continue support. We feel that we feed off that. And we're looking forward to going out and putting a good product in for Game 7.
Norm, you've been through several of these battles now in your career. Has this postseason felt more physical to you than past ones?
Honestly, I feel like the postseason is always physical. I think they let a lot of things go. Just like continually talking to the officials and things like that. I don't know. I think the postseason has always been physical. They let things slide. They let you play, and let the best out of the best win. But we have to be the ones to set the aggression, set the tone. If we do that, then I think we'll be able to, get those whistles and those calls. They can't call everything, but being the physical going to show that this is how the game is going to be played tonight is huge. I think we did that tonight. We need to do that going into Game 7.
Quinn, newsflash. You can live in your own reality, but the facts are the facts. Boston, in a closeout Game 5, not close to a must-win, last year, to take down the Mavericks, they played Jason Tatum 45 minutes, Jaylen Brown 44 minutes, Drew Holiday 43 minutes, Derek White 38 minutes, Al Horford 32 minutes. They played a 7-man rotation with Sam Hauser and Kristaps Porzingis coming off the bench in a closeout Game 5. Not a must-win. Not they were down in the series. Everybody can have their opinion, but this is the truth. Like, I don't know how to help some people. It's just I'm people trying to make me dumber in here. I'm dumb enough, guys. I don't need this.
The slow starts have been an emphasis for Ty. I think today was a bit better, but what is it about? What could you guys do differently, especially heading there? I think they've been able to. I think last game they were up 12 after 1. How do you start off games better?
Just like I said, just putting the pressure. I think we did a great job today. They're a team that comes out really fast out the gates. But I thought we were able to, catch their momentum, make it tough with them, and offensively, our pace and the way we were attacking the game, really be able to let us settle into the game and hold their run in the first quarter. I think we got out the first quarter down 3 or something like that, which is huge. We were able to put points on the board and a few more smarter plays defensively. We'll get them to a 25-point quarter.
You usually talk about like understand the grind. Can you really talk in detail what that means and what that entails?
Oh man, understand the grind is just, like I said, it's a mindset that I've always talked about, and how your daily approach and what you're trying to go after. You know, that's been me since I was a little kid. Put in the work, sacrificing time to my friends and my family, because I had a goal in mind. You know, and it's a message for everybody who's trying to pursue something in life. It doesn't have to just be sports, but it's a mentality that you're going to go in and put the work in. You know, the good days, bad days, obstacles. Things going well, it's a continued focus on improving and going after your goal. And that's what understanding grind is about. It's just a mentality and how you're going to approach and attack every single day and to reach your goals.
I'm going to put one thing up here because Quentin is so hard-headed. I'm just going to share the screen. The guy lives to be wrong. What's the saying? Always wrong, but never in doubt. Here is what it looked like in that Game 5 closeout game. They were up 3-1, and this is the sense of urgency they had in the Game 5 to close out the Dallas Mavericks last year. He's asking about Peyton Pritchard. Peyton Pritchard played a minute 25 at the very end of the game. Luke Cornett played 2 minutes at the very end of the game because they were up by 15. They played a 7-man rotation, the Boston Celtics, in a non-must-win game. What do you think the Clippers are going to do in a must-win game, in a Game 7? This whole Boston used their depth, and that's what it's all about. First of all, not all depth is created equal. A team could use their depth because they have better depth. They have more talent off the bench. The Clippers have to play their best players heavy minutes in a Game 7. Boston did it in a Game 5. We can stop the false narrative. It's over, Quentin.
Thanks, Norm. Okay, last one.
All right, sorry. Last week you joked about how Nico's old in basketball years and all this stuff. And you don't count his international credentials or anything. Does anything he does still surprise you at this age, though? The way that he's able just to go into a game and just change it the way that he can?
No, I've been watching Nico for a long time. You know, he's a professional. You know, that's one thing that he always told me: professional basketball player. And I think he's very smart. He's very heady. And, you know, he has the experience since he was a teenager playing in moments like this, stages like this, and being a team player and doing what it takes for the team to win, sacrificing himself for the greater good and going in there and making the tough plays, the hard plays, the gritty plays that really swings the momentum to win basketball games.
The best part is when you prove people wrong and they just move on to something else and say, oh, well, what's our rotation, Adam? Do you not know it by now? Batum's going to start next to James Harden, Norman Powell, Kawhi Vita Zubac, and Bogey and DJ and Dunn are going to be coming off the bench. Maybe Dunn. We'll see. If someone gets in foul trouble and they need a big body, sure. Then you might see Ben Simmons. I just gave you the 8-man rotation, Quentin. For the love of God, get a pen out and write it down. Here's James Harden post-game last night.
James, Ty talked about the space that Nico was able to give you and Kawhi to operate with in that second half. Can you just talk about the impact that he made on both ends?
Yeah, man, Nico did it on both ends tonight. You know, defensively, he was getting after it, a couple of huge block shots, chasing Murray around, switching, 1 through 5. Offensively, shooting his shot, making some good passes. He did a little bit of everything tonight, and it was a much needed win for us.
Obviously, like I said, Ty mentioned that he was able to give you more space, but it did feel like you were able to get going even before you guys made that adjustment. What was the big difference for you between Game 5 and Game 6?
Us going over our offense and what needed to be done for me to be aggressive. So we talked about it, we showed it, and we did it.
James, I believe this is the first time since the bubble that you won a game facing elimination, like Game 7 in OKC. Like, what was it like for you to just say, this team, the season that y'all had, it's not ending tonight?
Just on their own. We still had some mistakes tonight, but I think our energy defensively and even offensively, our aggressiveness was different. You know what I mean? which starts with me. So
Okay, I like that ownership. We didn't want to go home. Our aggressiveness was different. It starts with me.
just want to go home. You know, we still had some mistakes tonight, but I think our energy defensively and even offensively, our aggressiveness was different. You know what I mean? Which starts with me. So watch some film, get better, figure out things that I can continue to get better at, and do one more game.
And then finally, just following up, like this next game, like y'all have had the experience of playing in Denver, y'all know how tough that is, and you've emphasized starting better. Like, how does it happen?
Just gotta go do it. Just gotta go do it. I think adding shooting out there helps us offensively, and then defensively just, I think we watched film before the game and we gave up in our first half, I think like 30-some points just off things that we can control, you know what I mean? And so, we correct those things and, we give ourselves a chance.
James, sorry, back here. Ty said before the game, he kind of took it on himself that you weren't as involved in Game 5. He said, that's the scheme. I got to get him some more space.
Yep.
And yet you took a lot of the criticism afterwards. How do you take that and then move on to Game 6 and have a night like tonight?
I mean, I didn't see the criticism at all. But internally, I know what needs to be done, or So I had multiple conversations with Tulu, and even after Game 5, he came up to me on the plane and was like, I need to get you more involved. And just because I got the ball in my hands, it seems like I can just do anything, but we still got an offense to run. So tonight, the game plan was more of me being in attack mode and making sure our spacing is right. And as a result, I'll be aggressive.
Just a quick follow. I know it's late, but you did play 47 minutes. There was a yawn in there. Get some
Tired.
Yeah.
A little bit.
You got another 47, 48 in Denver?
Got to. Yeah, have to. Like it is what it is. It's a part of it. So, whatever the team needs, 47, 48, overtime, whatever. I'm going to do it.
But James, on that note, you have a pretty heavy workload during the regular season. Try to play with you. In what ways do you think that prepares you for now?
Yeah, definitely. Prepares your body, physically, to be able to, withstand and sustain and just, be able to, play both ends of the ball. Your legs is tired, so you've been there before. You know what I mean? So for me, it's just, finding my spots. And in the second half, they did a better job of loading to the ball, which, we'll watch film and get better at that. And then, spacing, Nico hit a big three. And just, finding more ways to attack them and be more aggressive.
That's wrong with you. James, what does it take to win a Game 7? And what will it take for you guys to win a Game 7?
Attention to detail, for full.
This is a really good answer on what will it take to win Game 7.
What does it take to win a Game 7? And what will it take for you guys to win a Game 7?
Attention to detail, for a full game, however long that game is, whether it's regulation, overtime, but attention to detail. Like Jokic he's just special in the sense of like he can score the basketball, but he's more deadlier when he's playmaking and getting everybody else involved. You know what I mean? So it's 1 second that you think you should be helping, or you do help, you'll pay for it. So it's like you really got to be on your P's and like locked in on what you're supposed to be doing. And then it's like who you're guarding. So, for us, I think understanding what we're doing as a team and then, individually, limiting our mistakes because, whatever team can make the opposite team make the most mistakes, you give yourself a chance to win.
Team that makes the fewest mistakes typically wins in a Game 7.
Yeah.
Here's Bogdanovic. Bogey last night.
James is obviously a guy who's been playing really well for you guys, struggled the last couple of games. What do you think of the way he came out for you guys today?
He's our leader, and I've been saying that since I came here, so nothing new. I don't think he struggled. He was just trying to – it's playoffs, teams are trying different tactics, different defenses. He was trying to get everyone involved. He is point guard, scorer. He needs to do a lot. So, I'm just happy that the way he played tonight.
It feels like this series, especially for you, you've had to really find your way in the series. How have you found your way? I mean, you're knocking down some threes. It feels like you've done more as a playmaker as well, some big rebounds. How have you found your way in this series? It's been, a bit of a rough start.
I feel like the role in regular season and playoffs is completely different, but that's normal. That's as I said earlier, everybody's trying different matchups. Everybody, is playing off each other's mistakes, and it's so tactical. As you can see, and you cannot make mistakes. You cannot stay on the floor. I started bad first game. I had a couple turnovers.
You cannot make mistakes, or you can't stay on the floor.
So I had less minutes. Couldn't guard. Fixed my defense. Worked on it, and doing everything that I can to win and contribute winning. That's all that matters right now. This team, as I said, this is a true team of a lot of pros. So that makes a lot job easier for me to approach the same way.
In the second quarter, you set a lot of ball screens for James to get switches and allowed him to get downhill. How do you like setting ball screens, like to free up guys, and then slipping out on the backside to be able to open up as a shooter?
I like to do whatever it takes to win. At that moment, it's a winning play. You just have to make winning plays. That's it.
You guys have played in Denver 3 times already. Is there anything you can draw on those first 3 times in Denver going into this game 7?
Every game is a new game. Nothing else to add. We'll be ready in 2 days to play them again.
You guys have lost 2 coming into this one. The heartbreaker and then the blowout. Like mentality-wise, or what was the vibe of the team coming in, and what was the mentality coming into this game? Everyone seemed kind of looking for the game.
We know we can take them at home as well. So we wasn't focused on what we did. We was focused on what we're going to do. So as long as we have that mentality.
In a series where it seems like getting rebounds has been kind of a frustrating moment in the clutch, you found a way to just sneak in there for some offensive rebounds in the fourth quarter. How have you been able to pull that out? Because you appear out of nowhere every time you get it, too.
Watching tape, just trying to make winning plays. That's at that moment, that's what we need. I see the space. If I don't see it, running back. It sounds simple, but as a team, you got to put team effort to make winning plays and put your team in the best possible situation to win a game.
You said earlier that the defense, your defense individually was not good, and it resulted in lower minutes. Is that just tape that you watched on that, and how have you? I think they've been trying to attack you. I think how have you tried to adapt to that and make sure that it's not as easy for them?
It's approach, it's mentality, it's tape, it's watching, it's practice, all that combined.
Thanks, Bogey.
Thank you.
There was Bogdanovic last night, post game. I want to hear from David Adelman. I know he got spicy with it, with some post game comments directed at the officials. Here was David Adelman.
But it's an evenly.
David, third quarter, what happened there? That seemed to be the difference in the game.
5 turnovers during 6 possessions. Clippers went on a 12-0 run. Oh, sorry. Didn't mean to steal the answer.
Yeah, we got sped up. Reminded me of game 3 a little bit. They got into us. Thought we crossed half court, not being organized. When you do that, turnovers are going to follow. And, the 14 for 23, it's been the story of the series. If you don't take care of it, you lose, bottom line. And when you don't take care of it, a lot of times it's just spacing, and we're not organized where we need to be. Again, they picked up full. They changed the game. And I also thought in the third quarter, we played good defense. We never, ever came up with a 50-50 ball. And that's just such a backbreaking feeling when you do everything right and don't come up with the ball. So we gave them a lot of extra possessions. That quarter absolutely killed us. I thought the rest of the game was very even. We played a really, really good fourth quarter with a lot of effort. But we got to be better throughout the whole game.
David, what is the mindset now? I mean, I got to imagine this is why you fight so hard for home court advantage in the first round.
Yeah, we talked about it, after the game. It's you win those last 3 games, not just to stay out of the play-in, but to get the home court in game 7, bottom line. And we earned it. That's what I told them in there. You've earned this opportunity. You earned the opportunity tonight to try to close it out because of the way you played in the series to get to 3-2. But now you have the opportunity to go home in front of your home fans and advance. And so, you play all year for that. We got that opportunity, and we're very, very excited to go back out there and play again.
The chat is really struggling tonight. We got this guy in here who keeps saying, "Oh, we're gonna win easy." He's probably just trolling. Man, some people disrespecting their opponent.
Hey, Coach. Coach, just I know it's a different prism for you, but looking at this series as a whole, just the attrition of the series and how evenly played this series. What are your thoughts on that? Just from kind of a bird's eye view, if you can, and just how this translates into Saturday afternoon.
Yeah, I mean, this is what I expected, to be honest. This felt like a 7-game series. Obviously, we wanted to close it out today, but it's an evenly matched series. There's so many good players out there, guys that can have nights. Jamal had his night the other night. Kawhi and James had a good one tonight. Obviously, Nikola's had his night. And Nikola gets fouled a lot. I'm not sure what was happening tonight, but for him to shoot 2 free throws with the amount of contact that was going on out there was absolutely crazy. They put smalls on him. Those smalls are allowed to do whatever they want. So I'm really excited for Saturday that we're going to be able to do the same thing. With
spicy.
It was going on out there was absolutely crazy. And Nikola gets fouled a lot. I'm not sure what was happening tonight, but for him to shoot 2 free throws with the amount of contact that was going on out there was absolutely crazy. They put smalls on him. Those smalls are allowed to do whatever they want. So I'm really excited for Saturday that we're going to be able to do the same thing with their best players, because if that's the physicality we're allowed to play with, we'll react to it, and we will go there in Game 7.
So he's working the officials, angling for more calls in Game 7. Might work.
Dia, you kind of touched on the 50-50 balls. Can you take a little solace knowing that it did seem like every bounce went their way, and if it's just more even Saturday, you'll be right there?
Right. And, 50-50 too, it's a skill. And you're right. It seemed like every time they came up with it, somebody's in the corner would knock down a 3, make a big play. We cut it to, it felt like we get it to 8, we get it to 6, and a play like that would happen. A ball get tipped at half court, they come up with it, ends up being a dunk. So we'll watch that. But it's one of those things, like you said, the median, hopefully it comes back and we come up with some of those to find easy baskets. But that's also an effort thing, attentiveness. And we'd be better at that on Saturday if we want to win.
David, with Nikola, I think he was held to 5 after halftime. It seemed like he was attacking a lot of closeouts at the 3-point line. When it's being officiated a certain way, when they're playing pretty physically and he's not getting much at the rim, would you rather just see him take those threes eventually, or what are you kind of seeing in terms of the reads that he's making on those?
Yeah, it's a good conversation. He was 2 for 4 tonight. I don't know. I think he felt driving the closeouts with Zubac. If he gets by him, he's creating offense for other people. Aaron's playing behind the defense. It creates corner threes, things like that. But probably have a better mix on Saturday. Let that thing fly a little bit, especially when Zubac is down the floor. But Nikola, everything he does is trying to be the most unselfish player he can be. Saturday, maybe we need a little more selfishness from the 3-point line.
Yeah, David, I know this is a different series than a year ago, but last year against Minnesota, you got to the 7th game and fatigue seemed like such an issue, especially by the
I
second.
want to hear that last part again.
Better mix on Saturday, let that thing fly a little bit, especially, I don't know. I think he felt driving the closeouts with Zubac. If he gets by him, he's creating offense for other people. Aaron's playing behind the defense. It creates corner threes, things like that. But probably have a better mix on Saturday. Let that thing fly a little bit, especially when Zubac is down the floor. But Nikola, everything he does is trying to be the most unselfish player he can be. Saturday, maybe we need a little more selfishness from the 3-point line.
Huh. Let it fly, more threes.
Yeah, David, I know this is a different series than a year ago, but last year against Minnesota, you got to the 7th game and fatigue seemed like such an issue, especially by the second half of that game. How can you manage sort of the next 48 hours to get these guys to the second half feeling a little fresher?
Yeah, I think maybe you have to be more creative substitution-wise in Game 7 earlier in the game, because the second half is going to be what it is. They're going to play their guys. We're going to play ours. Tonight, I think James and Kawhi were out for maybe a minute in the second half. So we know that's what Game 7s are. And I think it's sitting down with the staff, Looking at the rotation, I thought Peyton played well tonight. He had good activity, trying to get guys in and out quicker, and trying to save minutes early. And then obviously I brought this up tonight because we were so running uphill. It felt like I used a lot of timeouts, and sometimes it's easier strategically to use those for rest during games. Tonight was not that it was not the case. So we'll sit down and talk about that. I'm sure they'll have the same conversations with the minutes they've played. But yeah, off our feet and try to be more creative with the minutes for sure.
David, they went much or relied on Nick Batum much heavier in the second half. I guess what kind of dynamic did he add to the game as a whole?
Well, yeah, I mean, he makes rotations harder. He's a guy that can really knock down the 3-point shot. But like I said, I thought late in the game we figured something out with how we shrunk behind the ball. The main defender, the point defender, because we don't want to be hitting the whole game. And the one time I called the hit from half court and Jones made the three, sometimes you have to live with that. But when they have all shooters out there, yes, it is one-on-one defense, but it's also a much better shrink, more stunting, more up the line, more aggression can help those guys that are guarding these two really good players.
David, you kind of touched on it there, but in the fourth quarter, when you guys make that run and you get it so close, what was working? And do you feel like you let it slip away when you get so close and you're not able to just close it out?
Yeah, I mean, our defense really picked up, and we forced them to drive to the basket and try to make individual plays, which led to runouts and easy baskets for us. And the question about the minutes, that's the thing. You put all this effort into that, you come up short, but I also think it's a momentum builder for Saturday. If we would have got blown out like we did last year in Minnesota, you kind of start to second guess yourself. I didn't see that tonight. I saw a really poor third quarter, and besides that, a very even basketball game. And we feel like if we can play 4 quarters like we've done, in game 5 and in game 4, obviously the first 3 quarters, if we can, replicate that to game 7, I think we'll be in a good place.
DA, you kind of touched about having the luxury, the reward of fighting for the home court to have it in game 7. And the Avs won tonight, I think in large part having a good crowd. So how big will it be to have the Nuggets crowd revved up for the game 7 Saturday?
Yeah, it's going to be huge. And I hope everybody, go to brunch and come. Then it's 5:30 game. We need energy. We need juice. Your home crowd can help you with that. But the crowd is one thing. We have to be more responsible with the ball. That's going to be the key in game 7. We have to have quality possessions. We can't race the ball up and down the floor, not be under control. We need to control the pace better than we did tonight.
He's right. Whoever takes care of the basketball, whoever wins the rebounding battle, probably wins the ball game. It's not exactly Galaxy branding it. It's pretty obvious. He's aware of the Batum move. He thinks he has something for it, with just being more disciplined on the defensive end. They know they're going to have to play one-on-one more. Clippers are going to spread them out. I think it's going to be interesting. Here's Nikola Jokic postgame last night. What was that noise? Did you guys hear that? Am I the only one that heard that?
So what do you think, kind of, I'm right over here. So you guys kind of stood close to the game, throughout the end, but why you think the game kind of got a little bit, out of y'all control in the second half?
BJ Matthews from the Pull Up Podcast.
I think we had the 2 stretches, one in middle of the second quarter, when we were kind of not disciplined, not focused, and they get on the lead. And we actually came back in the game. They were up 7 in one, or 8 in one moment. We came back and then almost had the lead. Zubac get a tip in at the end, and they went up 1.5. And then the whole third quarter, we were not really disciplined. Both sides, we were not really into anything in offense, and defensively, every 50-50 ball, every offensive rebound, it kind of went to their on their side. We were almost there for every ball, but they were quicker, they were faster than us and that's how they get the lead. So
Nikola,
sticking with that 50-50 ball idea, because DA talked about that really being the difference. Can you sense that in the game where it does feel like every single one they're getting to, and
There's like we had like our two guys jumping and the ball flipped directly into Kawhi hand on the dunk.
That was a fortunate bounce, without a doubt. Kawhi missed. The ball bounced around, came back to him. Easy dunk.
I think Zubac get one. They get a couple offensive rebounds. You know, it's part of the game.
Nikola, they started Nicholas Batum over Chris Dunn in the second half. Just what do you think that adjustment did for them?
Batum is much better shooter than Chris Dunn.
What about defense?
Simple as that on the question from Joyland.
Batum is much better shooter than Chris Dunn.
Chris Dunn in the second half. Just what do you think that adjustment did for them?
Batum is much better shooter than Chris Dunn.
He's not wrong.
Defensively, obviously, they're giving up a little bit there with what Dunn is able to do at the point of attack. Just how do you feel Batum was able to involve himself on that end?
Batum is a great defensive player. He's guarding players 1 through 5, so he's a great defensive player. I don't think they lack in defensive end with Batum. Then if they start Batum, probably they're gonna start Batum in the next game.
He knows what's coming. Coach Jokic. Very smart. He knows who Nico Batum is. The word is out. Yeah. He better be starting.
Nicole, I think when we asked Jamal about that, he said the word he used was disorganized in terms of how you guys were after they made that adjustment when Nico came into that lineup. How would you describe how you responded to that adjustment? I mean, I know he's a much better shooter, but just the spacing it created for Harden and Kawhi, did that leave you guys disorganized? It was Jamal's word.
I think that we were just, it happens, but I think we can still be shrinking and still give a James Harden or a Kawhi respect that they deserve, but not to respect, don't disrespect other players. But they're all-time great. They're probably Hall of Famers, so we need to give them the respect that they deserve.
See, the Clippers put them in this position now where you spread them out. They have trouble doubling Kawhi and Harden as much. There's more driving lanes. And if they do double, they have the shooters out there on the floor now with Nico to make them pay.
Well, you've been in a number of Game 7s. What is your approach after having a decent amount of experience now?
Yeah, we had like probably 5, 6. We had 2 in bubble against San Antonio one time, Portland 2 times, 1 time. Right, so it's just another one.
How do you approach that in a different way than other games in a series?
I'm going to approach it just another one because I play every game. Is for me, it's like really important. Every game is important, and every game I want to win. So I'm going to play as a regular game.
And Nikola, how do you feel Zubac defended you tonight?
He was really good. He was really good. He was making me kind of question my shots. He was always there, so he was really good defensively. He had like a couple, like 4 blocks, so he was really good defensively.
Nikola, when you're in a Game 7, you've played in some. Is it fun? Is it nerve-wracking? Is it intense? What's it like?
I said this even before. I think the Game 1 or Game 2. I think this is, if someone loves basketball, I think this is the series to watch. Or even today, I think it was an amazing basketball game. You can see one team is going down, then little runs, and then stars playing on their level. I think it's if you like basketball and like a really true fan of basketball, not like fame basketball, like really like details stuff. I think this is
not fame basketball.
The games that you should watch. Fame basketball, like really like details basketball, and like a really true fan of basketball, not like fame basketball, like really like details stuff. I think this is the games that you should watch.
I know this is a different team than last year, but do you think this group still has kind of a taste left in its mouth from letting the one slip away last year at home when you had that lead in Game 7?
I mean, I don't know. I personally don't have that dose. I'm not that kind of person that I'm thinking about the past. I think it's everything. It's a little 1 year behind. So I think I'm a better player. I think my teammates are better players. Some of them are not even here. So for me, it's not.
And you were attacking a lot of closeouts from the 3-point line tonight. David said he would maybe almost like to see you like take more of those threes and be more selfish.
Like I said, like I thought I had him. Zubac was really good with him. You know, he's a big body. He was moving his feet really good, and like I said, he kind of questioned my decisions. Pleasure, like always, guys.
There was Nikola Jokic post game last night. Join the show right now from Denver, Colorado, and from The Athletic would be Law Murray out on the beat as he always is with this team. Law, thanks for coming back on Clippers Talk. How we doing?
I'm good. I almost forgot that I said I would do this.
I was about to text you. Let me piggyback off something Jokic was just talking about there. You ever seen anyone play him better in a half of basketball than Ivica Zubac did in that second half last night?
Man, I feel like we have this conversation every time the Clippers play the Nuggets, and you know, Jokic
Not
doesn't.
game 4.
Well, anytime Jokic doesn't, pack up a team by himself or score 40, like I don't know. This has just been a long-standing conversation. Goes all the way back to 2020, right? Like Zoo knows how to do the best job that you can, reasonably speaking, on Nikola Jokic. And Nikola Jokic knows that. And as someone who hoops, someone who plays basketball, and someone who loves to play defense, like I just think about like how Zoo actually does it, right? And there's 3 things you gotta like defend when you're a defender. You gotta defend the dribble, you gotta defend the threat of a shot, and you have to defend the pass. And defending the pass is on and off. Like when a guy doesn't have the ball, like you're defending the pass to not let that guy get catches, especially catches that lead to immediate passes at the rim. But you're also defending the pass as far as like, that you can't overplay a certain guys because they can find teammates that are open. And that's what makes doubling Nikola so difficult. This isn't like doubling, let's say, some of these other bigs who aren't used to making plays out of the post. Like if it's a Zubac before this year, for example, right? Like Nikola Jokic will kill you if you are lazy with your double teams, if you're not on the same page. What Nikola was saying that was really interesting is how much Nikola could have just shot threes and Zoo closed the gap and encouraged, almost persuaded. I'm running out of words. My brain isn't firing like that. It hopefully will be tomorrow. But like you're inducing him to drive, right? You are saving a point by having Nikola pump fake you, drive, and then you not getting beat. And Nikola didn't earn a lot of shooting fouls in game 6. I anticipate that. I am very interested to see who the crew chief will be for game 7. If Scott Foster was healthy, it would be him. The last time the Clippers played a game 7, it was Scott Foster. And last year, when the Timberwolves went to Denver for game 7, it was Scott Foster. But Scott Foster's injured. So I just feel like Zoo does a great job mixing it up, but being physical, being a presence. And so that's kind of what you saw Nikola have to react to. And I wonder how that's going to go, knowing that I expect Nikola to just be so much more aggressive in Saturday's game.
Some people are saying, hey, Dwight Howard played Jokic better than Ivica Zubac. Like, Zubac wasn't a 3-time MVP then, my guy. He hadn't won an NBA Finals. He wasn't the same player. he was good. Don't get me wrong. Dwight was very good, but I like what I'm
Yeah.
seeing from Ivica Zubac.
That's funny. Lakers fans were asking Dwight Howard to be on the roster each of the last 2 postseasons because Jokic was giving the Lakers that work. So that's funny.
Do you think David Adelman working the refs like he did post game is going to lead to some ticky tack calls on the Clippers in a Game 7?
That's going to be part of it, and the fact that they're part of it. I mean, the referees are human, so and things that you wouldn't get away with as much at the visiting arena, you don't get away with that at the home arena, and that crowd at Ball Arena is trained to groan when Nikola is putting on histrionics to, make a point about the contact that he's drawing. I think this has been. I remember Nikola Jokic. I don't know who I said this to. I've done a lot of talking about this series, but there was a time not that long ago where Nikola Jokic's whistle was not that strong. Like Nikola only averaged 4.1 free throw attempts per game in the 2019-20 season, the last year before he won an MVP award. Right? He's not that player anymore. He averaged a career high free throw attempts this year. He has the respect of the officials. Nikola is so much more intent on getting to the line. I don't think he sacrifices his chances of making field goals to get buckets. I don't think people talk about as much about how he had a 4-year low from the field this year, but at the same time, like he's still shooting about 58%. Like that's still, elite. And so I just, I try to tell people when I wrote my story for this morning, coming off of Game 6, the Nuggets shot a season low, including the regular season free throw attempts. A season low. You are not getting that in Game 7 if you're the Clippers defense. You're just not. You better not count on it. Now, that doesn't mean be reckless with your physicality. I think you have to be smart and continue to defend without fouling. And, I think that's been great for the Clippers all season and great for Ivica Zubac all season. That's one of the reasons why he was top of my ballot for Defensive Player of the Year, because he can play so many minutes without fouling, So, but look, the Nuggets are going to attempt at least 20 free throws in Game 7. I can just – yes, David Adelman did what many coaches have done for years in the NBA, and that is use the press conference space to publicly make a point about the officiating and advocate for their stars. And if you think that that's the only talking that's being done to try and influence the series, I got a bridge to sell you, maybe in Brooklyn, but certainly I got some bullshit to sell you.
Why do you think it took so long to get Batum to start as he did in the second half? Many of us were thinking it might come in Game 5. It didn't. It did work when he made the move. Why do you think it took Coach Lue so long?
Because I think you want to, and I know y'all don't even want to hear this shit, but I think you do that to shorten the chances of adjustments made from Denver. And I think Denver probably expected Nico to start Game 6. Chris Dunn got a short leash. I thought the biggest thing that Tyronn Lue said after Game 4, going like right before we, boarded the flights to go to Game 5, was that he looks at Chris Dunn and he's not looking at the shooting of Chris as much. It's the defense. He felt like if he could defend, if Chris was defending out there, then, that's something that he'd be okay with. And you saw what happened in Game 5. Like, just Jamal lit those dudes up, right? Even the start Game 6, Chris Dunn started. And Jamal was very comfortable early. But then they switched up. It's also a matter of this. What you said about Nico, it worked, right? Chris Dunn got a short leash in Game 5. He was out there in 4 minutes. The Clippers were down 6. Nico wasn't good in game 5. All right. Like, he wasn't good in the rest of that first quarter. They wound up going from down 6 to down 12. And Nico missed every 3 but 1 in games 4 and 5. Obviously, Nico had a really good game in game 6. He made a couple of threes. Obviously, he has the respect of Denver's defense that Chris Dunn doesn't have. And then Nico was everywhere defensively, making big plays. I think he had 5 combined steals and blocks. Some of y'all call them stocks. I don't, because I think that's a terrible word, but whatever. And then the biggest thing that Nico did was he moved the ball effortlessly and efficiently. He had a season high 6 assists without a single turnover. That's ultimate connector basketball. That's why everyone says things like Nico Batum is one of the best role players ever. I wouldn't go that far, but he has everyone's respect, both in the Clippers organization and across the league. So if Nico starts game 7, you need Nico to play great. You can't have Nico, a guy who does not attempt any shots inside the 3-point line. You can't have Nico be a donut out there. You need Nico to hit those threes that he gets in the corner. You need Nico to be sharp with his passing again. And you need Nico to stay out of foul trouble and to continue to make those plays. And I think he can do that. But it wasn't a guarantee. Again, Nico did not have a good game 4. He did not have a good game 5. He had an incredible game 6. The Clippers need him to have a great game 7. And I do still feel like Chris Dunn, I don't think you can completely cancel him. You got to play him a little bit, especially in the first half. This is going to be a war in game 7 as far as the physicality, as far as you're in altitude. The Nuggets will not have the advantage in game 7 like they did in game 1, like they did in game 5. Like, one day in between these games, like, you just don't, like, they're going to be tired. Game 7 last year, they had 2 days off before they hosted the Timberwolves, got out to a 20-point lead, ran out of gas, got turned by 30 points. They have less stamina and less depth now than even those Nuggets a year ago. So I'm fascinated to see how things work out for both teams as far as their lineups and as far as their endurance.
That was the second round last year, but Jokic is only 32 minutes away from hitting how many minutes he played last year against Minnesota. Murray is 10 minutes away from hitting how many minutes he played last year against Minnesota. Aaron Gordon is 8 minutes away. Like, they're right there. They're in the red. So Jokic thinks Batum's going to start in game 7. I think he's going to start in game 7. Would you be shocked if he didn't start at this point?
I wouldn't be shocked. Like, I'm prepared for anything. I was prepared for anything going into game 6 because my whole thing was, if they start Chris, I understand. And if they start Nico, I understand. And it's just about making it work, you know? So I'm still not sure what the Clippers will do in game 7. I know the defensible, easy thing to do is to start Nico over Chris. So I can see that happening. It was obviously a big deal for Tyronn Lue to just straight up go ahead and start Nico for the second half. And so that leads me to think that they're going to start Nico for game 7. The Nuggets expected. The Clippers have already showed their hand. That's what I would expect. And again, there's a drawback from that. You better start well. You better play well, because when you start that group together, that's your best shot. You if you're down with that group, you're in real trouble, because Chris isn't coming in to save your ass. Ben Simmons not coming in to save you. Bogey not coming in to save you. Bogey making shots is everything, because Bogey is a bright red target for the Denver Nuggets offense right now. And with Derek, I honestly, I wonder what it would be like to start Derek Jones Jr., to be honest with you. But I don't think there's enough confidence in Derek's shooting and offensive viability in this series specifically to do that. So that's what makes it tough. So again, you start whoever. Those dudes have to play well. I'm more concerned with getting whatever lineup is on the floor to work than, what lineup you choose to start the game.
What do you think of the rotations and some of those small ball lineups starting the second quarter, starting the fourth quarter? Is Lou going to go back to his old faithful and playing smaller at times, even if Jokic is in there?
It depends on the game flow. It depends on, who's playing well and who's up, the margin. T. Lue went to that because they were up. And also because Zoo didn't play. I think Zoo did a really good job on Jokic, but overall the Clippers played better when Zoo was off the floor in Game 6. Zoo's got to be a little bit more involved, a little bit better. I think that the increase in isolations to get James going took Zoo out of the game. I mean, you saw Zoo only attempted 6 shots. And again, you'll do whatever it takes to get the lead. Getting a lead in a Game 7 is paramount, because it dictates your control over the game. It's 0-0 to start. If you're up double digits in the first half, you still need to manage it. But you get to the second half and you're up double digits, you know that, okay, you have less time if you're on the wrong side of that to sprint and make up for that. And Game 7, despite what you saw with those Game 7s last year, not just the one in Denver, but the one in Cleveland as well, because the Orlando Magic had a big lead in Cleveland, and they blew it. It's funny, like 2024 in the first round, you had biggest blown lead in a Game 7 in the first round, only for an even bigger lead to be blown in the second round. The year before, in 2023, I was talking to Patrick Baldwin Jr. about this. Patrick Baldwin Jr. was Stephen Curry's teammate when the Warriors went to Sacramento, and Stephen Curry had the first 50 ball in Game 7 history, only for Jason Tatum to get 51 in the second round in a Game 7 against the James Harden Philadelphia 76ers. Okay. So that's what I love about the playoffs. We have these precedents, and then we still see things that have never been done before. We see things done before, and we're like, can it happen again? Can it happen again? So I think going small, because again, some of these guys have positional size, right? Like James Harden at point guard ain't small, right? But going small is about what do you need to do to control the game? Who needs to be out? Who needs rest? How long can you say, hey, we'll sacrifice getting absolutely beat on to, say, okay, we can survive this. The key to going small or short, I'd rather say, Adam, is if you are up, you are discouraging 3-point attempts. Now, I don't think the Clippers executed a whole lot well in the fourth quarter. James alluded to this. T. Lue alluded to this. You have to be better with your lineups, executing what you're asking for. Defense validates your lineups. If you have small lineups out there, then and your intention is to not get caught in pick and rolls that leave Jokic open for threes because Zoo's dropping or something like that. Like, don't allow corner threes. Don't allow rotations. Like, switch everything and don't allow the switches that leave you at disadvantages. Having Bogey out there with guys who can crack them on one-on-one. The transition defense from the Clippers was awful in the fourth quarter. Awful. And the only break that they got is that Denver's fast break offense was just as bad. They missed so many easy shots that could have influenced the outcome of the game. So much of this, Adam, I know this sounds boring, but it really is. I don't care who you have out there. Make it work. And the coaches have to obviously do their part to prepare their team, but the players have to play well. I think that's what it comes down to.
Harden bounced back in Game 6. Do you think he's ready for this moment with his past and elimination games? Is he in a good spot after playing 47 minutes to get by in that game? Can he do this again in a Game 7 now?
I think the Clippers would be smart to not rely on James Harden in Game 7. And what I mean by that is they have to, when James is feeling it, I really think James only played one good quarter, and that was the second quarter. And it was paramount because the Clippers shooting was terrible. The defense wasn't very good. Jamal went off in the first quarter. Jokic had a huge second quarter himself, right? James being the engine for the offense, and not just the production, but the process, right? Getting to the paint, willing himself to the free throw line, hitting those couple threes when all of his teammates were blanking. That was huge. But I don't think that you can rely on that as much. And, the turnaround is quick. We all know what James has been through, not just offensively, but guarding bigger bodies, guarding Aaron Gordon all series long, guarding Nikola Jokic for a spell here, a spell there. That's why I say Norman Powell has to be the guy, because I know what Kawhi is going to do. I think Kawhi is going to be ready to play. He's going to get his buckets. I think Kawhi's done a good job all series. He leads the Clippers in field goals made in this series. I think Zoo has to be reactivated. He's got to get touches. He has to make Nikola Jokic work. He's got to give some back what Zoo is going to be absorbing from Jokic on the other end. I expect Nikola to be super hyper aggressive. You can't allow him to do that on offense and then chill because Zoo's not getting touches. So I think Zoo's got to be a presence in the paint. I think Kawhi's got to be a presence in the mid range. I think James has to be a presence at the free throw line, take care of the basketball and punish and be opportunistic. But I think the biggest guy in this game 7 is Norman Powell. It reminds me of Marcus Morris in game 7 back in 2021. Marcus, a guy who he had a sacrifice in that series because eventually Zoo got played off the floor by Luka. They had to start Nico at center. And that meant Marcus had to do a lot of guarding the centers because Nico was out there guarding. He was the best guy to guard Luka, right? And contain Luka over the course of that series. Marcus had to guard Porzingis. He had to guard Boban. He had to guard, bigger bodies of the Dallas Mavericks back in 2021. It took away from his shooting until that game 7. That game 7, he got
hit
unlocked.
7 threes, I think.
Markieff Morris up here tied a game 7 record at the time. Tied it, and it didn't get broken until Dante DiVincenzo hit 9 in a losing effort because the Knicks had some of the worst defense in modern NBA history for a game 7 against the Indiana Pacers. So Norman Powell is the X factor. He's your barometer. He's the guy that, look, Denver has only so many guys that they can take away one-on-one and even fewer that it's like if you got to double James Harden and take him out of the game or double Kawhi Leonard and take him out of the game, someone's going to be open and you benefit from a guy like Chris Dunn. Obviously, Nico Batum makes you even more hesitant to double and play aggressively off of certain guys. But Norman Powell, it's like you don't have enough guys to guard Norman Powell as aggressively if you're going to guard James and Kawhi the way that we expect those guys to be guarded. And so if Norman Powell, you've seen the difference, Adam, when Norman Powell has double-digit scoring quarters, when Norman Powell is getting to his floater, when Norman is feeling good with his jump shot, it has changed games or it has completely blown out the Nuggets. That's what's got to happen. You saw it in game 2. Norman Powell gets picked up by Jamal Murray, and we're like, Norm, you're like 1 of 8. What's going on? Norm taps in for that fourth quarter, and the Clippers win the game. You saw it last night. Norman had some trick-or-treat forays into the paint. You don't really love seeing Norman Powell do too much as a passer. But, man, when Norman Powell lets that ball go for jump shots, it gave the Clippers cushion that they needed to win the game. They need Norman to be consistently good for 4 quarters, like he was in week 1 of this regular season when they went to Denver and Norm hit 7 threes and had like 18, 20 fourth quarter points as part of a 37-point performance. They need that Norman Powell. I think he's the most important offensive player for the Clippers Saturday.
I agree.
Not James.
We talked about it coming into this series. Who are they going to have to guard Norm with? He should be able to cook in this series.
It's Jamal Murray. That's the other part of this series, Adam. We've seen so much of this series that we know who's guarding who. Michael Porter Jr. is the only Denver Nuggets starter who's in the red for the entire series going into this game 7. And a big part of that is because Michael Porter Jr. can't really guard any of the Clippers. They stick him on Chris Dunn when, to start games. Well, if you don't have that, then Michael Porter Jr. is even more of a disadvantage. Michael Porter Jr. was a minus 24 in a game his team lost by 6. You know how crazy that is? That's why Russell Westbrook's been playing so much. That's why some people in Denver have suggested that maybe Russ should start game 7 because it gives you the best defensive lineup. And because Russ gives you an opportunity to give Nikola and Jamal Murray more chances to create, to get shots that they don't have to create on their own. Now, obviously, the downside to that is, there's a lot of trick or treat involved with Russ's offense. But Russ is obviously an upgrade on MPJ defensively. And again, this all comes down to the Nuggets have 6.5 reliable players. Okay. And that half is Peyton Watson. Peyton's going to play because Peyton gives you an athletic defender who doesn't do too much to hurt you offensively, but Peyton's not good enough offensively to play too much. It's going to be very interesting to see what it's so important to punch first. That's what Kawhi was talking about last night, and that's what we've seen over the course of this series. Don't get down by too
You
much.
think Kawhi can play 45 minutes in this game?
Yeah, because it's, we've seen it before, right? Like we've seen. I'm like so Warrior pilled right now because I just saw them play awful basketball and lose this 3-1 lead, right?
A lot of people wanted Houston.
The thing with Kawhi is a lot of people are tripping. That's the funniest thing. Like people will say that shit, and it's like, did you see the Houston Rockets play the Clippers this year?
I
know what I'm
did.
saying? Like that is just not a good matchup. Like I don't know if Houston wins Sunday, but Houston is a team that doesn't know what the hell they're doing, and yet they're in this spot. You know what I mean? Because the few dudes who do know what they're doing are tough to deal with. Fred VanVleet's a champion. He gets the same respect from me that Norman Powell gets from me. Just because they change teams, those guys know what they're doing, okay? And they're in this spot because they got professionals on that team. Like, they might have some kids learning what the hell to do, but the difference between the Houston Rockets this year and the Sacramento Kings from 2023, 2 years ago, is that the Kings didn't have those kind of vets. I mean, Harrison Barnes maybe, but that's about it. Like, Fred VanVleet's won a championship. Dylan Brooks, for all his flaws, Dylan Brooks is at least going to show up and get in these dudes' faces, Dylan Brooks has failed on huge platforms. I respect that dude for coming back and still keeping the gig up. You know what I'm saying? And so, like, you asked about Kawhi. Kawhi was in Golden State playing in overtime, played 47 minutes to keep the Clippers out of the play-in tournament on the road. And that's the kind of effort that you basically have to ask for, on 2 days rest once again. And you had shorter rest going into that Golden State game than you had this time going into this Denver game, because you remember that Golden State game played early, 12:30 tip, because the NBA wants all those games done by the time the sun sets in New York. You have a 5:30 local time start here, 4:30 in LA if you're jet lagged, which I will be, but it's still later. And so if you can expect that out of Kawhi in game 82, then you can expect it out of Kawhi.
Somebody earlier was talking about Ben Simmons needs to play in this game. How deep do you think Coach Lue goes into his rotations? Is it 8 guys and that's it?
I think I would want to see Ben early in this game, because I feel like you'd want to steal some rest, and I'll tell you why. I especially would want to see Ben if you start Nico. That's why I say about, like, we're playing lineup games. I love basketball, man. I love NBA basketball because so much of this is, who do you play and when? You're trying to take advantage of what the other team's got out there. Starting lineups is starting lineups. It's like, that's your best shot, but you know that you're mixing in and you're trying to steal advantages based off of a variety of permutations of lineups. And so if you start Nico, again, that's your best shot, but it's like, what are you going to do if, Zoo gets in foul trouble or Nico, needs a break or whatever? Again, you're going into altitude. That shit hits you hard early in a game, right? And you got to get guys out to catch their breath, and they come in and maybe they can finish the game from there. So I think that it worked before in this series, where Ben would come in, mix things up, make things hard on Joker, especially, you need fouls. You need some more guys to foul, and I think that Ben allows you to give some resistance on Joker's paint intrusions. If you got to foul him, you don't care about Ben Simmons' 6 fouls the way you care about Nico's, the way you care about, James, if he gets mismatched, Zoo, obviously. And you also know that Joker is going to shoot more threes. Well, get a comfortable perimeter defender, a guy who's used to getting ball screen, a guy who's used to being an ISO, a guy who can press up because, Joker is going to have some possessions where he's bringing the ball up, not Jamal, not Russ, not Aaron Gordon, right? You obviously are at a disadvantage offensively, but that's why it's important to start so that you're not putting Ben in and you're down, you're trailing. That's a disadvantage for Ben. But if you get off to a decent start, the game's within, a decent margin, I think that that's a good idea, because you need minutes, you need bodies, you need fouls. I'm not saying play Ben 10, 15 minutes, but I'm saying that might be a good idea because you need these guys to be at their best at the end of the game.
Okay. I might have to apologize to Quentin in the chat if he plays tomorrow. There.
I'm not sure if he'll play or not. I mean, Ben was on the damn exercise bike. That's what I was told for Game 6. Obviously he didn't play at all. But again, I think that there are some things Denver is expecting. You got to throw some things out there that maybe they're not expecting as much. It's hard to do that in the Game 7 anyway. Everyone knows who's playing, what your plays are, what you're trying to do, who you're trying to pick on. Like, you're trying to pick on Jamal Murray, right? When Kawhi gets matched on to Jamal, it's fade on sight, right? Obviously, Denver's defense is going to be adjusted to keep Jamal out of those situations, right? The Clippers have the same thing with Bogey. Honestly, they had the same thing with Chris Dunn. Like, as admirable as they've used Chris Dunn, I think the Clippers have got to the point where it's like, is our defense better with Chris Dunn on the floor in this series? There has been instances where it absolutely has not been. When Chris Dunn's been on the floor, the Clippers are giving up 122.6 points per 100 possessions. That is horrible, okay? More than Chris's shooting, that's why Chris's minutes are getting slashed, because you can't have one of your best defenders get destroyed like that. It reminds me of Pat Beverly back in 2021. We love Pat Beverly and the impact that he had for years. Patrick Beverly was an impact defender for the 2021 Clippers, a team that was a pretty good defensive team. When he was out, they missed him. Nico Batum will tell you that. But Luka Doncic canceled Patrick Beverly hella quick, okay, to start that 2021 quarterfinals. They started Reggie Jackson, who I don't know if you will notice, not the defender that Pat Beverly is, but they started Reggie because it's like, listen, if Pat's going to get cooked, then we got to find an advantage somewhere else. The Clippers didn't win that series against the Mavs because they stopped them or they stopped Luka. They won that series because they were like, the Mavs are cotton candy on defense, and we're going to do everything we can to bust their ass on the other end of the floor. We're going to outscore them. And that's really honestly how I see the Clippers having to do this Game 7. You probably aren't stopping these dudes. They figured some things out. That's why they had 22-point leads in Game 4 and in Game 5. You're going to have to get buckets to win. It's the same thing last night. The Clippers didn't really stop the Nuggets. They had James going off, and then when James got tired in that second half, everybody else, them jump shots came around and the offense came around. That's what's going to have to happen in Game 7.
You've been right in every game, I think, so far with your predictions. And now it comes down to being right in Game 7 here, Law. And I believe you took the Clippers in 7.
Yeah.
How do they get it done?
I said Clippers in 7 weeks ago in this very hotel, not in the same room or the same floor. But when I followed my preview for this series, I said Clippers in 7. I kept trying to tell people this won't be an easy series. Don't underestimate the Nuggets just because you won a couple of games against this team, something that was hard to do before last season, or that they fired their head coach and GM, or that you look like they're deep, or they don't have the depth, or because you think that facing Russell Westbrook in the playoff series is to your advantage when you know damn well Russell Westbrook going to be gassed up for this whole series. Like, I felt like this would be a long series. I felt like the Clippers had clear offensive advantages, but that it was going to be a real draw on the defensive end. And Nikola Jokic was the best player, and that the Nuggets had the home court advantage. And we all were wondering if the Clippers were just going to have some weird shit happen from a durability standpoint within a series, because you ain't seen a Clippers series without that shit. Basically, I don't even know, 2019?
Yeah.
Like, that's that. I mean, we all had to be like, hey, something's going to happen. You just had that in the back of your mind. That's a mental toll. That's an immense emotional toll. You don't have to worry about that, but you got to worry about everything else. We've seen Russ play well. We've seen Nikola Jokic take over games. We know that this game is in Denver and not at Intuit Dome. But I considered all the factors. I felt like the Clippers would get to a game 7 and win it. I have no reason to back out on that now, but I will insert a caveat. The Clippers could lose. I'm not going out here and saying that I gotta, I would bet on this game. If you have a gambling problem, stay away from this game. Okay. Do I think the Clippers will win the game? Yes, I do. If you're measuring my confidence in that, it ain't significant.
What's the difference?
Okay?
What's the margin of error? Why do you give them the edge?
Why do I give the Clippers the edge to win game 7? I think it comes down to offensively, there's too many guys that Denver has to account for, and the Clippers have, pardon my language, fucked up this series too much already. They understand what they need to do. So you have to play a professional game, mentally tap in, and it's as simple as this. Do the Nuggets force turnovers? No. Do the Nuggets have rim protection? No. Do the Nuggets have enough guys to defend all the weapons that the Clippers have? No. That's the series. That's the game. The Clippers have lost too many possessions, too many quarters doing dumb stuff. The Nuggets are going to play hard. They're going to play physical. Again, I'm very interested to see who the crew chief is for Saturday. But it's like this. If Nikola Jokic is walking to the free throw line, the Clippers got more than enough guys to do the same. Okay? It starts with James, but it can't end with James. That's why I keep bringing up Norm, a free throw dark artist who can shoot, who can drive, and who is going to have weaker defenders on him. He has to be good to great. And that's where the margin is. Because we've seen this Clippers team, we've seen them play like they have some sense, and we've seen them play brain dead basketball. So, the Clippers can't afford to have that happen to them. And you're also hoping, Adam, that the horrible shooting that you saw, I felt like they were tight, to start game 6. You better hope that stuff doesn't happen throughout game 7. They got to make shots. Game 7s typically have horrible shooting. The Clippers have to find a way to overcome
Can't
that.
start 1 for 12 from the outside. See, my reasoning for taking the Clippers in 6 is because I was worried if they get into a game 7 on the road against Denver, that even with all those advantages, as you mentioned, Denver has championship pedigree. They have those intangibles, and they are difficult to stop late in the game. They're difficult to out-execute. I worry about that part of it, but yeah, I guess I'll adjust because I can't get Clippers in 6 now. I just hope they win in 7 tomorrow. He is Law Murray of The Athletic. Check out his latest. Clippers will need an aggressive James Harden to win game 7 in Denver. That just came out this morning. At Law Murray, the NU is where you follow him. Law, you want to do it all over again? The pregame show tomorrow?
I'll be there. I'll be there. I'll be well rested and ready to go.
You sounded great tonight too. Appreciate you. Appreciate you all season long, my friend.
All right, y'all get some rest out there.
Be good, Law. There goes Law Murray. Showed up. Broke it down. It's 10:45 Mountain Time. It was good to have him. Don't just say thanks, Law. You better subscribe to The Athletic. He is the reason to do so. Law did say he could see Ben Simmons playing some minutes. He's not sure if he will. He also brought up the foul thing at one point, which I agree. He could play minutes for sure if somebody gets into foul trouble. But I am really interested to see how the Clippers start this ball game because they did look tight shooting-wise from the outside in Game 6. Clank City. 877-520-1150. 877-520-1150. Thank you, Hip to Clip. Appreciate you. Yes, like and subscribe. It'll bring positive vibes for the Clippers tomorrow. That's good karma for the Clippers winning Game 7. No, I'm kidding. 877-520-1150. I do want to hear from Jamal Murray last night, as he really struggled after the first quarter. I think DJ and his defense was exceptional against him. We got Jamal and then Clayon coming on.
Hey, what's going on, Jamal? So for your playoff history, you went from 16 to 24 points per game, which is the highest in 20 games in NBA history. What is it about the playoffs that really makes you turn up into a different animal?
Good question. BJ Matthews from the Pull Up Podcast.
I would love to talk about that. I'm just not in the mood right now, bro. We lost. We gotta go take care of business at Game 7, and yeah, gotta win Game 7 at home.
Okay, fair enough. This is a good conversation for another day. He's coming off a loss, but I like the question.
Jamal, what do you think happened in the third quarter that allowed them to create that space?
I think we was unorganized, I think is the best word to put it. Unorganized.
Jamal, what is it like to play in a Game 7, and is there a specific ingredient that usually
Will,
determines?
effort, hard-nosed basketball, a great attitude, just a positive mindset towards your teammates, and a loose feeling for yourself individually. I think those are very key. But one guy can have a really good game, you can still lose a Game 7. So everybody's got to bring it emotionally, mentally, and physically, spiritually. I think if we do that, we'll be in a good place.
Jamal, Coach Adelman credited losing 50-50 balls, almost all the 50-50 balls, and coming out on the wrong side of the turnover battle as the loss. How frustrating is it when it's like a game of possessions and it seems like all the bounces go against you?
Yeah, it's frustrating. Some of the turnovers, guys trying to make the right play, guys looking for each other, and you just don't get the ball through, and that hurts you. Or that hurt us tonight for sure. So, yeah, they were quicker to the punch. They played with a lot more desperation because their backs were against the wall, and you gotta give them credit. They the whole game they brought it. Even when we stuck around and stuff, they always had a couple possession lead, and yeah, it comes down to those 50-50s. Those 50-50s turn into threes. Those turnovers turn into and ones or layups, and those are possessions we got to take away. You know what I'm saying? So, Game 7, we will.
Jamal, you were very complimentary of Batum earlier in the series. Just what do you think that second half adjustment did for them?
What was the adjustment?
Starting Nico in the second half over Chris Dunn.
I mean, he just adds a lot of shooting. I mean, spacing. He's an high IQ player, and knows how to play, knows how to defend, understands actions, stuff like that. So I think he's a super good vet, man. And it can impact any game and any team that he's on. So
DA said that the way y'all fought all the way to the end can benefit you because you didn't just let the game get away and obviously scrap to the very end. Can you feel that and carry that momentum to Game 7? And how big will it be to be at home in front of the home crowd for the Game 7?
I think you should have that regardless. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, I think you should have that regardless. I think if we had some more 50-50 balls, I think we kind of just get the place a little quieter. In a couple of instances, they don't go on those big runs because of that. And, next game will be better.
Jamal, what's the biggest lesson just from the Game 7 at home last year and the chance that you guys had in that game?
Ooh, I like this.
It's going to be a different team. It's going to be a different type of series. I think we just got to play our game. I don't think there's nothing to overthink. I think if we just play the same way, playing hard and come up with that same aggression, that same kind of desperation, intent, and just playing loose and for each other, we'll get the job done. So I've played in quite a few game sevens. So yeah, this is 3-3. It was best out of 3 when it was 2-2, and now it's next team wins. So everybody's up for grabs. Everybody on the bench is ready to go, and we're gonna do everything in our power to win the game.
Jamal, what do you feel like you guys did better defensively in the fourth?
I think just our intensity. I think we were just covering for each other a little better. Guys on the string a little more. Yeah, I mean they're tough, man. They shooting a lot of threes. Everybody in there can kind of shoot. You got Big Zoo down there, so that they always kind of keep you honest. But we'll make the adjustment and we'll come out ready for Game 7.
All right, there was Jamal Murray post game last night. I did want to give you some numbers. Some of you guys are already bringing it up in the chat. But first of all, I mentioned this with Law Murray a little bit earlier. So Jokic has played 17 more minutes in this series than Kawhi and 8 more minutes in this series than James Harden. Jamal has played 22 more minutes than Kawhi has in this series, 13 more than James Harden. Even Aaron Gordon has played 5 more minutes than Kawhi. Harden has played more minutes than him. But if you look at Denver's second round series last year against Minnesota, Jokic finished at 280 minutes by the end of Game 7 last year. He's just 32 minutes away from eclipsing that in this series. Murray finished at 263 minutes in that second round series against Minnesota last year. He's just 10 minutes away from eclipsing that in this series. Aaron Gordon is just 8 minutes away from going past the amount of minutes he played against Minnesota last year. That could be a factor, but they also play in Denver, and they're a very well-conditioned team. Denver ended up collapsing in the second half of that game. It was also in the second round against Minnesota, so there was already more wear and tear. But they only scored 37 points in the second half after leading by 20 in that game. 7 at home to Minnesota that they would lose. Let's see. James Harden is coming off a game where he played the final 36 minutes. He only rested for 85 seconds. Now, in Game 7s, as Law Murray mentioned, there's a lot of misses. There's a lot of ISO. Everybody knows what everybody's running at this point. They haven't shown them any plays that should surprise them too much. The stars have to show up. The 50-50 balls are huge, as Denver is making that a point of emphasis after losing that battle in Game 6. Denver will, of course, get more than 9 free throws in Game 7. Road teams, to my knowledge, have won 8 of the last 11 Game 7s in the NBA. Tomer Azarli said road teams have won 9 straight Game 7s. I don't know. Did anybody double check on that? Because obviously those two stats differ. 8 of 11 or 9 straight. Which is it? 9 straight? Really? Can that be true? I think he took it down. Yeah, I don't think road teams have won 9 straight Game 7s. I don't think. I saw that earlier. I don't see it now from Tomer. So we'll say 8 of the last 11 Game 7s have been won by the road team in the NBA. Got that from Ben Miller last night. Denver has lost 2 home Game 7s somewhat recently. One in 2019 in the second round to the Portland Trail Blazers when C.J. McCollum went off in Game 7. And then obviously last year to Minnesota at home. Denver overall in their franchise history, 4-4 in Game 7s. Clippers record in Game 7s, 4-5. Their last Game 7 at home against Dallas in 2021. They won that game. We talked about the Marcus Morris game. Kawhi almost had a triple-double. He was great in that game. Of course, in the bubble, they lost Game 7, technically at home. It was in Orlando, but to the Denver Nuggets in the second round. So here are the best and worst performances by some of the big players in a game 7. Nikola Jokic. Is this game 7 or in elimination games? I saw this on Reddit. He's 26, 17, 7 assists on 51% true shooting with a 3-2 record. His best performance happened against Utah in the bubble. He had 30, 14, and 4 in that game 7. He was 12 of 23 from the field. His worst performance in game 7, first round, 2019 against San Antonio. He only had 21, 15, and 10, but he was 9 of 26 from the field. That's considered bad for Jokic in a game 7. Jamal Murray, 3-2 record, the same as Jokic in game 7s. He's averaged 26, 4 and 4. His best performance in a game 7 against the Clippers. He dropped 40 in the bubble on them. 15 of 26 shooting, 6 of 13 from the outside. His worst performance in a game 7. That game 7 at home against Portland in 2019. 17, 6, 5, just 4 of 18 from the field, really struggled. Russ in game 7s, 3 and 1. He's averaged 20, 11, and 9 on 52% true shooting. Best performance back in 2014 against Memphis. He had 27, 10, and 16, was 10 of 16 from the field, 2 of 2 from 3 in that game 7. Worst performance in game 7, them blowing that 3-1 lead and losing in San Francisco to Golden State in 2016. He had 19, 7, and 13, but just 7 of 21 shooting from Russ in that game, 2 of 6 from the outside. Now, what about the Clippers? 2 top guys in a game 7. Kawhi, he's 3 and 3 in game 7s. He averages 22, 9, 3 assists on 50% true shooting. His best performance, the game 7 against Philadelphia. 41 points, 8 boards, 3 assists, 16 of 39. He took 39 shots in that game. Just 2 of 9 from the outside, 7 of 8 from the free throw line. His worst performance in a game 7, we know it, happened in the bubble against Denver. 14 points, 6 and 6 on 6 of 22 shooting, 2 of 7 from the outside. Hopefully what happens at the bubble stays in the bubble, and maybe Kawhi Leonard remembers that and can get a little bit of redemption for that game 7 stinker he had against Denver in the bubble. James Harden in game 7s, 3 and 3. Averages 21, 7, and 6 assists. 51% true shooting in game 7s. His best performance happened against the Clippers in 2015 in that 3-1 comeback. He had 31, 7, and 8, 7 of 20 shooting, 2 of 7 from the outside in that game 7 against the Clippers in the second round of 2015. His worst performance in a game 7 happened against Boston in 2023. 9, 6, and 7, 3 of 11 from the field, 1 of 5 from 3. How about Harden in elimination games in his career? In 25 elimination games, he's averaging 23, 6, and 5, but he's having 6.3 assists to 4.4 turnovers in elimination games. And his shooting splits in these 25 elimination games are bad. 42, 32, 84. Not great. True shooting, 58%. It's not horrible, but his career true shooting is 61%. And he's been a total of minus 67 in 25 elimination games. Last time Kawhi Leonard played in a game 7, it was 2021 against Dallas at Crypto at Staples Center. He had 28, 10, 9 assists, 67% from the field is what he shot. Can he deliver again? He just had one of his best playoff games ever in game 2 in Denver. Can he give us that again? All right. I'll block this guy. I didn't see it initially. He gone, I think. All right. Here's the man that also needs to deliver. Clayon, You better bring it. We got a game 7 tomorrow. Clayon, what's up?
It's the final countdown. Dun-dun-dun. It's the final countdown. Hey, man, it's that final countdown. Let's get it. Hey, you know what? That's all right. They didn't do it in 6. I understand. That's all good. Hey, but I know I saw Adam out there. I know I saw you flapping the wings every time you saw miss a dunk or a layup on the Nuggets, man. Especially when Westbrook, he missed that. I was like, God damn, man. I know you had to see the Angels on that one. The Angel came in and said, get that shit out of here, man. Knocking shots away. Hey, Aaron Gordon, Mitchell, look, man, they out there, dog. They out there. Hey, we might, and I give it to you because Jamal Murray said somebody getting blown out the night before, the couple nights before and shit with the game 5. That was real shit. He does. He's been pretty accurate. That's some real shit, man. He has, Adam, on some real shit. And I feel like, man, if we come out there and they keep that energy up, I don't think that, we should have to depend on one player. You know what I'm saying? Because I've seen a nice little stretch. I think that James Harden, he gets us to the goal. And I think the expectation falls in place when everybody else has to play their role. I think that everybody try to put so much on a star player, but one of the beautiful things about it is that we started to see the rest of the team develop. If it's not always an offense, they're not like, oh, shit, yeah, they ain't scored that many points. Man, it's all right. What, Nico Batum had 6 points? But, man, there was some clutch points, not to mention. Nobody was hitting shit. Here come Nico Batum, the flying Frenchman. Wow! Knocked down threes. Those elite threes. He's getting how many blocks? He had 3 blocks. Damn. Who have you seen guard Jokic like that? I ain't seen nobody get him like that. Like, he didn't even get a triple-double last night. Like, what? I think, if I'm not mistaken, every game that we had in the playoffs, he had a triple-double. I think that defense, the longer we play them, the more our defense is starting to get acclimated to how the Denver Nuggets play. So it makes a lot of sense. You know what I'm saying? And I think now that we're coming into this home stretch, one, I saw Bogey the other night. Like I said, it's not about the volume of points. What I saw was somebody that actually wanted to be there and play. I saw revitalized eyes. We come out there that's one thing I do like about Bogey. When he come out there and he played with a whole nother energy. You know what I'm saying? He out there playing like he's 25 and shit. You know what I'm saying? He out there jumping. He's out there trying to get in. And okay, albeit sometimes, it'll lead to certain fouls and things like that. But damn, this is what we need to see. We need to see that revitalized youthful spirit, because you ain't got to be a youthful player, a young player to have that youthful energy. One thing I always bring up, and I'm always hearing Kawhi Leonard say, we're going to go out there and we're going to have fun. All right? What happened with the Lakers, man? The fakers, the snakers, all right? The mustard yellows. I'm sorry. I have to call it how it is because I hate the Lakers. I hate them. And I was like, man, I saw them go down. Hey, I told my man, they ain't going to do nothing if they don't have a big man. It's going to catch up to them in the end. And they caught up to their ass, all right? And they thought that they were doing something because they had the Luka Doncic trade. And I'm going to always say some fishy in Denmark about that shit. But that's neither here or there because they out of here. And so right now, we are the premier LA team, all right? We are the face of the city right now. So everybody looking at us. Guess what? Laker fans looking at us. They looking at us like, damn, man, look at them. I hope they lose. They probably spitting all kind of venom and shit. But, hey, if we get eliminated, it's it for Cali, for the West Coast so far as the playoffs. So this is it's bigger than just a game 7. It's carrying on Cali, man. So I think you're going to see a lot of Lakers fans, even with some haters mixed up. But shit, just like when the Dodgers won, because I'm an Angels fan. And when the Dodgers won, I was like, damn, you know what I'm saying? But I understood because when they made that trade, what's my man's name from Japan? The pitch, what's his name? I was just talking about earlier. I can't even remember his name right now.
Shohei?
What's his name? They went to the Dodgers. They got him. They traded him from Otani, right? This one, they made that key trade and they were able to win that year. So right now, I think we have the components. We have the right pieces, all right? And albeit we depend too heavily on the 3-point shot, and when it's not falling, I can see the frustration in everybody's eyes, and then they start putting up the hero ball bullshit. Let's stick to the easy tools. Man, I was so surprised. Every time I see Avika Zubac, I'm looking at his range slowly increasing. He damn near had a goddamn mid-range shot with that little push-up, that little push shot. He damn near mid-range with that. So I'm loving to see his shot develop. It is beautiful. Man, everybody's having more confidence in him in the post. Man, shit, we fuck around and keep looking up. We're going to see Zubac hit a three-pointer one day and shit. I don't know when the fuck that is. I ain't saying game 7, but I'm saying it'll be lovely because I see his range increasing. And that shit look good. Everybody getting aggressive in the paint. You saw that? Man, everybody blocking shots. Avisa Zubac, Nicholas Batum, Chris Dunn playing key defense, man. Let's go. See, when we put that pressure on any team, they don't expect it because I'm telling you. I know they all be talking shit like, oh, man, these some old dudes. They're old as hell. And that'll be such a beautiful Cinderella story, Adam. First year at the Intuit Dome. First year, the second oldest team. Like, man, dog, we got so many things going in our favor. Man, we have a different flavor. And right now, we have the chance to be the face of L.A. The Lakers got defeated in the first round. Everybody's like, oh, the Lakers are going to go all the way, man. Hey, everything happened for a reason. So right now, all eyes is on the Clippers. Right now, all eyes is on the Clippers. So we got to do this, man.
Clay
And
Vaughn.
I saw them acting up at the Intuit Dome. Man, we got some fans, dog. We got a cold-ass fan base, man. And I think that shit just hit different. Because when I see them play at the Intuit Dome, and then I see them play at Denver and shit, and they not like us. They ain't got a fan base like us. That's why I think that, we have the ability to go in there and eliminate them in their house. We got to go in there and knock them out their house shoes and their bathrobe. I don't give a damn if you at home. We have the ability to go in there and take them out of their comfortable zone. We taking you out your comfort zone. And the thing is that pressure that we put on them, it started to make them think like, damn, if we can't go to the perimeter because they base too much, they base their game too much on Nikola Jokic. And Aaron, don't get me wrong, when he comes in, he's always going to do his thing here or there. But when I'm starting to look at the stats from the team, from the game, that the Nuggets, that everything was cut in half. That defense is what led to our offense because even when them three-pointers wasn't falling at them, that defense was coming in and it was putting a lot of pressure on them and they started putting up them dumbass shots, man. And we tend to do the same thing when they put that pressure on us. But I think the key thing is just getting everybody involved. Now, when I watch the Lakers game, problem with Luka Doncic is he doesn't get everybody involved. He'll get his, you know what I'm saying? But he doesn't get everybody else involved. And I think that right there is why the rest of the team tends to cool down or they'll tend to look at their star players and put everything on them. This ain't the time to do that. And as a veteran team, we don't have the ability to just sit back and look at us like we're some spring chickens or something and put everything on Harden. So, no, don't put it on his shoulders. He got us to where we needed to be. Now, everybody else has to fill in and play those initial roles so we can come in there and cut their ass in half like a Clipper cut a wave. Damn it. And it's looking good. It's looking so good. So what they going to say, man? And then, look, I ain't no damn genie. I'm not no palm reader. I'm not some kind of sidekick and shit. I'm not sitting here like Miss Cleo calling me now and all this bullshit. But I'm telling you, man, win, lose, or draw, man, we have a squad. All right? And we have a fan base. And everybody is put on notice and forced to acknowledge that. Everybody in L.A., look, man, I'm from Cali. Even though I live in Michigan, I got to clarify that. I'm from Cali, goddammit. I walk different. I talk different because I'm California, baby. And wherever we go, everybody recognize that energy. I just got my Kawhi Leonard jersey in the mail the other day. Shit, I'm about to get the matching shoes. Man, let's do it. Damn it. Win, lose, or draw. Saturday, I'm going to be out there flossing it because this is our time. And I think that, having a good mixture in our team with the young and the new. And, hey, I would love to see Ben Simmons get out there and put that shit up, all right? Or even just go out there and play some good-ass defense because everybody is pumped right now. Everybody is. I'm looking at how they respond on the sideline. You know what I'm saying? That vibration that they're giving off, our chemistry is at its highest, and this is it has the ability to make us or break us. And honestly, even if we lost, all right, because I do have to play the devil's advocate, even if we lost, we still got a powerful lineup, man. Kawhi Leonard, every time I see him in the fucking press conference, man, damn, man, I can see he doing everything but putting a Kool-Aid smile out there because he's healthy. And I think that just the rally cry of him taking over and actually becoming a team captain again, this is the time that it really has to fall on Kawhi. Like, real talk. His mid-range, he's finding his mid-range, he's getting into his position, he's getting to the point where he's damn near unstoppable. All right, but everybody, I'm loving the rotation. Even though we played in ISO, I'm loving the rotation around the perimeter. We getting the perimeter shot set up, and it's leaving Nico Batum open. Everybody is able to play their key roles. No pressure. You got Norman Powell cutting through the lane. Man, come on, dog. We are this offensive nightmare. Right now, I hope and I pray and I see us winning tomorrow, right? And I think the difference may be in the third quarter because for some reason when we come back, I would say like when we come back from the halftime, we kind of start off slow. But if we're ahead at the end of the half, or at least I don't care if it's by 1 point, 2 points, even if it's a tie, the hardest thing that I've noticed is when they have to exert so much energy playing catch up, I noticed that starts taking away from, you don't see James Harden and different individuals put up a lot of shots. We're at the point where we got to reserve the energy that we have, man. We wise men, we older men. Hey, damn near everybody got a beard on the team. I think that shit fires. I would love to see Chris Dunn come out there with his beard and Bogey come out there with his beard because we represent, man. We got that older team, we got that wise team, and I think that now it's time that we clutch it and utilize that veteran knowledge so we can clutch this game 7.
All right, Clayon.
To actually be the head. Who you looking at, Adam, to be the head scorer on our team tomorrow?
Kawhi, of course. I need Kawhi to put up at least 20 shots. Give me your final score prediction, though, Clayon, and wrap things up. You got 30 seconds here.
All right. We going into it, Clips fan. Yeah, we turn it up. I say it like this. We come in, we put in strong defense in the first half, and we keep the score to a good minimum. We don't have to score too high. We save all our energy for the second half. We come out the second half, and we start getting the easy tools, and we start dropping them big-ass threes on their head like it's raining missiles. And then we start catching bullets with our teeth because, damn it, that fourth quarter is going to come down to straight defense. Don't let them get no clean shots. Don't get them no easy shots. Put some brakes on Jamal Murray with his throw hawk. We hate the throw hawk, Jamal Murray, goddammit, and we're going to shut him down. And guess what? When we win this motherfucker, Lord bless, we win, we're going to understand and they going to know that a Clipper going to cut your ass in half like a wave. You understand it? Let's go Clippers. Let's get it. Game 7. It's our time, baby. Put that slipper on Cinderella's foot. Let's get it.
Clayon from Michigan, closing things out and getting us ready for Game 7 tomorrow. My voice is hurting. I got to get out of here. It's that time. Pre-game tomorrow, 3:30. Tip-off at 4:30. I'm at a Moslin. Subscribe and like the channel, please. This has been day 210. 210 straight days of Clippers talk for you guys. We'll talk to you pregame for Game 7 in Denver tomorrow.
Off the air.